Alright, as you can see, I have 27, chapter 27. Whatever. I've given myself a new haircut just because I could. It costs 10k. Okay. Eventually, my feet lead me to the park. It's already dark outside. The air is cold and it's snowing. I sit down on one of the benches to collect my thoughts, trying not to pay any attention to my shivering. What did I do? What did I do? I yelled at Neil's father in front of everyone, but he just made me so mad I couldn't stand it. Oh. The game went weird. The way he talked about me being some kind of gold digger, and the way he talked about Neil. Seeing Neil there so defenseless and defeated, who in their right mind could have kept their mouths shut? Neil is a flawed person, and there's more vile words coming out of his mouth than anything positive, but fundamentally he's not a bad person. And he definitely did not deserve to have his father talk to him like that. There's no way I would have kept my mouth shut after seeing someone I care for being abused like that. I had to speak up. But now, I'm sure I pretty much ruined everything. Neil is obviously going to side with his father. After all, he didn't speak up. I don't know why I got my hopes up. My phone buzzes, making me jump in my seat. Oh, where are you right now? I think that's it. I sit there with the phone in my hands, contemplating whether or not to tell him. Should I even reply? I sort of stormed out of there and left them all behind, and Neil for sure is going to yell at me, or something along those lines. I'm unsure of everything right now, even of my own feelings. They're a bit of a mess right now. At the park. Wait there, I'm coming. Oh great, His Majesty is coming over and to rain down his wrath upon me, and who knows what kind of speech he has prepared to scold me for yelling at his father. I bury my face into my hands. Oh god, I yelled at a really powerful figure. Sitting all alone at the park, it's really starting to sink in the things that I've said. On the other hand, I'm also kind of proud I've said them. The urge to stand up to him was too great, and I entirely lost it when Marcus started insulting me as well. There was no way I was going to let someone walk all over me, regardless of their status. Either way, I can't take those words back, and I don't think I want to either. Now, all there is to do is wait for Neil, I suppose. How fun. Snow continues to fall around me. About 10 minutes later, I hear someone approaching. Their footsteps stop in front of me, and from the instant lack of snowflakes, I assume there's an umbrella above my head. I know it's Neil, so I don't bother looking up. I'm suddenly finding it very fascinating to stare at Neil's shiny, polished shoes. My heart is in my throat, and I cannot find the energy to say anything anymore. That was the craziest, most ludicrous thing anyone has ever done for me. Neil closes his eyes and sighs. And I have Angela to compare to. Neil places his hand on top of my head, patting my hair. But I guess I was waiting for that kind of crazy all along. I look up at him, my eyes wide in surprise. He pulls his hand back before taking a seat next to me, making sure the umbrella keeps the snow away from the both of us. You're not mad at me? I ask. I didn't say I wasn't, he says. You've got quite a mouth that likes to run off on its own. I glare at him. Takes one to know one. How many times have you opened your mouth and said horrible things? Don't remind me, he says bitterly. But why do you seem to lose your voice when it comes to your father? Why did you let him step on you like that? You're sharp and always ready when it comes to retorts or witty remarks. It's different, alright? He pipes in. It's different because they're family, my family. They've always placed a tremendous amount of pressure on me to perform up to their standards. Sorry, there's something weird going on with my computer. Neil then gives a short, bitter laugh. Why do you think I ran away that time? Even as a child, I knew something wasn't right. You have more fighting spirit as an 8-year-old than you do now at 24. Well, parents like that tend to, whittle down your, desire to rebel. But you can go either way, really. Neil sighs, leaning forwards and placing his elbow onto his knee. I simply didn't want to disappoint them, work hard, make them proud, that's all I really wanted. No, it's not, I interject. That's not what you wanted at all. For God's sake, Neil, why do you think I stood up for you? Because I know you're miserable the way you are. I know you want to follow your passion, not to be stuck in some stuffy hospital working for your tyrant of a father. Neil stays quiet for a bit, but he finally looks at me. His eyes hold a bunch of emotions, but I can't quite place them. There's a bundle of emotions swirling around in my stomach as well. Of all the things that don't make sense, you're the one that makes the least sense to me, he says after a while. What do you mean? Oh, why do you care so much? Neil twists his body around and moves closer to me. His face is next to mine, staring at me with those golden eyes. His gaze is taking my breath away. I've made nothing but bad impressions on you, he says, said and done things that are inexcusable. You certainly have that right, I say with a nervous laugh. So, why are you always there when I least expect it? Always ready to come to my rescue? Neil keeps staring at me with those eyes, seemingly searching for answers. I'm inexorably drawn into them. I've never heard that word before. And I'm a writer. He raises an excellent point. Why do I care so damn much about him, even though he's been quite horrible with me at certain points? I guess it's because I've seen what Neil can be when the pretenses fall away. I can see Neil for who he is, the Neil who shows kindness towards others, the Neil who can laugh at silly things, the Neil that blushes a deep shade of red and turns speechless. I can see that behind Neil's rude actions, he tries to hide this insecure side of him, the Neil that's scared of messing up and letting himself get hurt. And that's why he's always so quick to push me away or to cover up his embarrassment with quick and sharp insults. The more I get to know Neil, the more I know how he ticks. How he lashes out whenever he gets embarrassed, how he has enough courage to apologize for his own faults, and even though his ideas are sometimes twisted, he does care about the people that are close to him. He's still arrogant, he's still witty, and he always has a comeback ready. But this Neil? This is the Neil I like. I worry about him, I want him to be healthy, I want to protect him. I always wonder what he's doing, I want him to succeed, I want him to grow up and learn to live by his own choices. I want him. There's so many things I want to say that I end up speechless, not quite knowing how to convey them. Sometimes I really do think you have an ulterior motive for always involving yourself, grumbles Neil. Look, I don't even feel like a gold digger would put up with your crap, dude. Gold digger. Yes, my ulterior motive is for you to fall in love with me and marry me before driving me off a cliff and reap all the sweet benefits I'd get as the widow of a very rich man, I say, deadpan. Hey, isn't that pretty much your father's impression of me? I wouldn't put it past you. I give Neil's shoulder a hard shove, jerk. Gold digger, he retorts back. That would imply you actually have some gold to dig for. Aren't you pretty much poor if your father ever decides to cut you off? Neil gives me a wry smile. He did. What? I draw a blank. I couldn't very well stay silent after your rampage. Rampage? I was not on a rampage. Neil laughs at my expression. That was most definitely a rampage, and you left behind quite a big wreckage. Everyone trembled before you. I refused to let Neil get under my skin and looked straight forward, trying to seem unimpressed. You should have stuck around. Then you would have known how it ended. Well, I'm here now. How did it end? Father was mouthing you off once you left. I'd never seen him this upset before, not even on that day when I ran away. He was like a volcano that erupted. He kept mocking everything you said, everything you stood for, from your manners to your boutique. Oh, that sounds nice, I say, defeated. I definitely succeeded in making Neil's father dislike me, but that's okay. I didn't like him either. I couldn't stand to listen to the things he was saying about you anymore. But don't you pretty much agree with those things, though? Neil flashes me a small smile. I told my father I actually agreed with everything you said. Neil leans his head against my shoulder, burying his face in my hair as if he's trying to hide. Everything you said, it was pretty much the truth. Angela has been trying to get me to stand up to my father for years now, but I couldn't, never did. You almost gave me a heart attack when you attacked my father like that. I couldn't believe it. Once again, you showed strength when I couldn't, exactly like when we were kids. I stay quiet, letting him continue to lean on me for support as he explains what happened. He went on, ranting, insulting you when you left. I was unable to stand it. I don't know why I was okay with my father saying such things about me, but you? I don't want anyone to speak ill of you, so... I talked back for once in my life, he mumbles against my hair. I can feel his hot breath tickle my neck. It's making me shiver. Aren't you always speaking ill of me, though, Neil? I point out. I don't speak ill of you. I'd never. Speaking ill of me, insulting me, same thing. Neil turns his face a bit and his lips brush against my neck. It's giving me so many tingles, I swear he's doing it on purpose. I'm sorry for the things I've said. I don't deserve what you did for me today. How about you thank me by treating me nicer from now on? No more insults, no more witty retorts thrown my way, no more shut your pretty little mouth. Neil stays silent for a few seconds before he lets out a small snort. Well, it's kind of enjoyable to see you react and retort to them in return. Enjoyable? He finds my reactions amusing. I quickly pull away from Neil entirely. Did you just admit you were saying those things to get a rise out of me? I say indignantly. I can't believe it, he really did. Neil chuckles. See? That's the kind of reaction I like. I feel my cheeks heat up. It's as if I'm playing right into Neil's hands. Stop that. Stop being gleeful. Neil simply laughs at me. Neil! You can be cute sometimes, he adds with another chuckle. Great, now I'm definitely blushing. What's gotten into you all of a sudden? I wonder out loud. I'm not used to Neil being like this. He seems more carefree, he's joking around. The other night when we ate dinner together, I discovered a side of him I had never seen before, and now this? I can't decide whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, he says. Did your father really cut you off? I ask. It seems to be the most important question right now. Oh, I'm sure he's definitely cutting me out of any financial support. He hasn't said anything explicitly. The man was too stunned to reply once I was through with him, but I'm sure he's already plotting my demise. Angela would have loved to be there. I know I would have loved to see Neil standing up to his father. I'm almost sad I ran out after I said my piece without getting to see something this extraordinary. So, what changes for you right now? I ask. It changes everything. It means that I'm now free to do whatever I want. And don't worry, it's not like he can access my personal bank account. I'm not suddenly dirt poor and living on the streets. What did your mother say? She didn't say much, actually. She was pretty quiet throughout the entire thing. Once I was through with my father, all she said was to go after you. I give him an unamused look. So you came here on your mother's orders? Neil casts his eyes down. No, I wanted to as well. Good. I don't want you chasing after me only because someone told you to. Neil gives me a smirk. Are you saying you want me to chase after you of my own volition? No, I say, flustered. But maybe yes? You're a terrible liar. I bite down on my lips and avoid his gaze. Oh. Neil makes a sudden movement, closing the distance between us again. His lips are near my ears and his voice a whisper. I've been chasing you all this time, Valkii. Haven't you noticed? No. 50-50. He quickly retreats and stands up from the bench, his back turned towards me. Snow falls down on me, the safety of the umbrella gone with Neil. I look at his back, and under the light of the street lamp, I can spot that the tips of his ears are red against his black hair. I find myself blushing as well. My mind is a whirlwind right now. An hour ago I was yelling at his father, and now Neil is saying that he's... What is he saying exactly? Is he cryptically trying to say that he's been chasing me all this time? My mind is jumping to all kinds of conclusions, but I don't want my imagination to work it out. I want to hear it from him. Chasing me? I decide to ask. You have a funny way of showing that. Neil quietly shuffles with his feet on the ground, not saying anything. He leans against the lamppost and scratches his cheek, playing aloof. But then I see him shrink a bit, not smirk, slumping down his shoulders and giving me a sigh. I may have done. He mumbles the last part, and considering he's turned away from me, I can't catch what he's saying. Can't hear you, I say. I get up from the bench as well and move towards Neil. You know very well from the beginning, Neil mutters incoherently. Finally, I'm standing next to Neil. I must have been very quiet because he jumps away in surprise. Neil composes himself, loosening the tie around his neck with his index finger. It seems Neil's face turns redder by the second, I want to tell him to get it out already. I don't know how to fix that sentence. To get it out with already. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to tell him to get it out with already. That does make sense. But he is simply too adorable. Neil, you're usually so eloquent with words. What's gotten you all tongue-tied now? I say. I want to rub it in his face that he's fumbling over his words. Me too. I definitely do not like that part of you, Neil grumbles. I'm sorry, but who's the one who admitted saying certain things to get a rise out of the other for their pleasure? Wasn't it, you? It was, wasn't it? Oh, let me finish what I'm trying to say already, he says. When he sees I'm not continuing my teasing or basking in his embarrassment, really, he clears his throat and tries it one more time. As I was trying to say after you so rudely interrupted me, I'm not interrupting. It seems like I have inexplicably grown fond of you. What now? He's grown fond of me. I mean, is this really surprising? Well, I mean, maybe. I'm sorry, was this supposed to be some kind of confession? Is this how Neil explains his feelings? Hey lady, I've grown fond of you. Ugh, even in my mind it sounds ridiculous. I yank down on Neil's tie and he yelps in response as he gets pulled down to my level. I stare him down. You've grown fond of me. How about being a bit more clear? I daringly push my lips against his to shut him up. My body zings in response and my heart is jumping around in my stomach somewhere. Neil's lips are cold, but soft and full of passion. His fondness speech may have been lukewarm, but his lips are anything but cool. He pushes back against me, his lips smashing... Oh, Jesus Christ, we're doing this again, are we? His lips smashing against mine like he's been yearning for this, hungry for it, starving for it. But so am I. I wanted this. I wanted this so bad. I sigh against his lips, parting that more air escapes between us until we're locked once more with Neil's tongue coming out to play with mine. Our tongues clash like a whirlwind of fire as he grabs me by my waist. There's no hesitation in his actions. I can feel exactly what he wants by the way he kisses me. Oh, Jesus Christ. I suck. Oh, 1 minute. Fine, okay. I suck on his lips, and I hope he can feel this is exactly what I want as well. My hands are running along the fabric of his shirt on his back, pressing him firmly against me. The night is cold, but there's warmth inside of me that's growing hotter. Neil's lips feel amazing on mine. I don't ever want to let go. How indecent young people are these days, someone suddenly yells at us. Thank you, elderly lady. We break apart at the interruption, mortified to realize we're not exactly alone in the park and have been sucking each other's faces in public view. Both of us are taking big breaths to steady ourselves, but can't seem to look Neil in the eye, and he seems to have the same problem. The ground suddenly becomes very interesting. Let me take you home. This park can be full of strange people at night, and you don't want to run into them. Neil takes my hand and gently tugs me along. I wrap my fingers around his hand, loving the feeling of his, much bigger, against mine. We walk side by side and make our way out of the park. My mind immediately goes into overdrive as his hand grows warmer to the touch. We just made out. You've made out like 3 times now? 3-4 times now? I don't remember. Neil sort of confessed to me. We're holding hands, and not even an hour ago I was yelling at his father. I can't keep up with these emotions. It's all still so unclear, but this growing sensation inside of me, it's hard to ignore. It's been there like a steady current, growing bigger and bigger, washing over me like a tidal wave. I look over at Neil, who's keeping quiet and holding the umbrella with one hand while gripping mine with the other. Is he like... No matter how he's holding our hand, he's like... Okay, so say he's holding your right hand. And he's trying to put the umbrella over both of you. Is he like... Oh, so the hand is down by his side, holding. And is he like doing that with the umbrella? My heart clenches up. It's throbbing painfully. I quickly look away. No, it's not that unclear. I felt this way for a while now, maybe even since all the way back to the masquerade party, when I was forced to realize that I had been attracted to Neil all the while. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to face my growing feelings for him. Because why would I even feel this way? Neil has been nothing but hot and cold from the moment we met at the coffee shop. And yet I'm unable to stay away from him, and Neil seems unable to stay away from me. Oh God. I say out loud and stop walking. Neil stops as well. What's that? No, it can't be. I cover my mouth with my free hand, shocked at the realization. Nothing, I managed to say. No way, there's just no way. What? Spit it out. Do you make out with people you don't fancy? Like, this is baffling to me. How is this such a realization? Don't say, oh God, all of a sudden and then stop walking without any explanation. Neil looks at me with a frown, waiting for me to say what's on my mind. I furiously shake my head, hoping to shake off the blush that is now covering my cheeks. No way, I'm not going to say it. Huh? Neil gives me an exasperated look. Moments ago, you couldn't keep your mouth shut, and now you decide to keep quiet? Well, that's because I just realized I'm in love with Neil. I can't let the bastard know. He'd grow even cockier, even more arrogant. He'd never let me forget. Why won't you tell me? He whines. Must keep mouth shut. I bite down on my lips and shake my head again. No way, I can't tell you. I'm not going to. Neil's gentle gaze turns into a glare. Why can't you tell me, huh? Where's your fighting spirit now? He says, as if to challenge me. You boldly seduce me with your lips, but words prove to be a challenge for you, he adds. I turn bright red. Seducing him? Well, kinda did, I guess. Are you really that at a loss for words? He smirks. You could put him in his place right now by just telling him, because he'd get really flustered. I can't let him be this gleeful. My pride won't stand for this amount of smugness. I push away from him. I'm not. Fine. I love you. Ah, crap. I said it. I had my face further in my hands. Horrified, I said it out loud. When Neil doesn't respond with anything witty, however, I take a peek through my fingers. He's standing still, looking straight ahead. I pull my hands away from my face. Neil? I poke his shoulder. Neil drops his umbrella as he dashes away from me before crouching down on the sidewalk, his arms covering his head, shielding his very bright red neck. Told you. Excuse me, I changed my hair color. I changed my hairstyle. Neil? I call out to him, a bit flabbergasted at his extreme reaction. Neil lifts his head the tiniest bit so that he can look back at me with his golden eyes. He looks so embarrassed, it's incredibly cute. My heart thumps against my chest, filling me with a glowing warmth. I pick up the umbrella and slowly walk towards him. It's my turn to shield him from the snow. He looks kind of pathetic, crouching down like that as if he's trying to hide from me. It reminds me of that day we met up at the cafe, when he tried to hide behind his laptop. It was so stupid, but also weirdly endearing, like right now. I can't pass up this opportunity to tease him, so I crouch down to his level myself and lean in closer to his ears. "Neil, I love you," I whisper to him. I'm not making that noise. He almost does a barrel roll forwards, but catches himself in time before quickly standing up straight. I follow his movements with a smirk, basking in his embarrassment. I think I found the best button to push. "What's wrong, Neil?" I ask innocently. He gives me this incredulous look, one that seems to be screaming, "Are you for real?" He points at me with his index finger. "Stop that." I take a step closer to him, my smirk growing wider. "Stop what?" "Oh, saying that I love you." "That, stop." Another step closer. "Why should I?" I whisper. Face still buried in his hands, he looks to his left and grits his teeth like he's in pain. "Stop lying to me like that, it's not good for my heart." "Oh. Does he really think I'm lying for the sake of teasing him?" I take a small step backwards. "It's not a lie." I bashfully look away from him this time. I may have only realized it just now. I swallow. But it's true. Neil's golden eyes are wide and conflicted. "What?" "Even if you have the emotional range of a toddler, even if your venomous words sting and hurt, even if I never know whatever comes out of your mouth is what you really mean to say, you don't have to keep insulting me," he barks at me. "I guess I can't help but find you adorable? Besides, I'll admit that I can say some nasty things as well." Neil blinks at me, still not believing me. "Of course, I'd prefer if you'd be a little nicer to me from now on." "Say something, don't make me stand here wearing my heart on my sleeve all awkwardly." I clutch the umbrella close to myself for support. Neil clears his throat before turning his face away from me once again. He seems to be incapable of looking at me directly when it comes to being honest with himself. "Maybe my choice of words was a bit ambiguous," he admits. "I'll try to express myself better." Express himself better? That would certainly help, considering Neil is always hiding his thoughts behind snarky comments. He sighs. I have a hard time putting my feelings into words whenever I'm around you." "Gee, really?" I mock him. He reaches out for me daringly, brushing my cheek with the back of his hand. I take in a breath as I get filled up with excitement and anticipation. "Ever since that day at your boutique, I've been attracted to you, and those feelings festered inside of me into something bigger. I felt less and less in control every day." Despite being able to properly articulate himself this time, Neil's face is a deep shade of red, the blush even covering his neck and ears. I can tell that he's shivering, and it's definitely not because of the cold. He's nervous, he's fidgety. These are all new sides of Neil I haven't seen before. "I become quite the mess when it's about you. It's hard to breathe, it's hard to think. I never knew I could feel nervous, scared, and excited all at the same time. In the end, I'm having such a hard time managing my own feelings that I end up hurting yours. Mocking you, hurting you, that has never been my intention. I can't help but become a petulant child whenever I feel that fluttery chaos in the pit of my stomach. I lash out, my mouth runs off, and instead of trying to get along with you, my primitive brain thinks it'd be a great idea to act all high and mighty to make sure you won't notice that I'm scared of these feelings you incite in me." Neil finishes his monologue while looking at me with these hopeful, puppy dog-like eyes. My heart melts at the sight of him, and his words make my heart beat even faster. Essentially, Neil admits he has feelings for me and lashes out because he was too scared in return. "But I want you to notice me now, and if what you said before was no lie, then..." He bumps his forehead into mine. I can feel his warm breath on my face. It's comforting. He pauses for a little while, simply leaning against me for support. "I think I love you too." "You think?" A jolt of lightning surges through my body and my eyes are cracked wide open. I was in heavy denial before. It's only been a few minutes since I finally accepted I was in love with Neil, but I never suspected I'd hear him say those words back to me. My legs feel like spaghetti noodles all of a sudden. My inner strength has left me. I can't believe we both confessed to each other. In the snow, no less. I won't drink. I never expected that this would happen when I woke up this morning. I expected to tell Neil's parents that I wasn't his fiancée, that I wasn't, in fact, anything to him. Yet here we are, foreheads touching, faces red with the snow falling quietly around us, and we love each other. I was teasing him before, confidently saying I love you, but now I suddenly find myself speechless. It's one thing to say it, it's another to hear it coming from him. I'll repeat what I said before. Please say something. Don't make me stand here like a fool. I hold back the urge to smile. I want to say those weren't my exact words, but I decide against it for now. You're stupid, I say instead, with a slight chuckle. I can already tell Neil is about to pull away in a huff, but I tilt my head up, pressing my lips against his for a brief moment. And then the lady that's clearly following us, yells at us again for being indecent. In public. But I seem to be in love with you, no matter how stupid you are. Fancy that. Neil growls out loud. Are you saying I'm stupid? Well, yeah. I wrap my free arm around his neck, lifting myself up so I can kiss him one more time. Stupid. Neil kisses me back, wrapping his arm around my waist. Then you're stupid for falling for this fool. He's nervous and fidgety, but his eyes are full of longing as he cups my face and brings himself closer to gently kiss me again. He pulls away after a sweet second, blinking his eyes at me and giving me a shy smile. Let's go home, he says. Yes, let's go home, together. That whole chapter was 25 minutes. I'll see you in the next one.